Can I help you?
Ma'am, you ordered a pizza?
Oh, I'm sorry, you must be mistaken. I ordered no such thing.
Oh, but you did, Ann Hutchinson. You did order such a thing.
That's trash.
Hello and welcome to That's Cool, That's Trash, the podcast where we watch a psychotronic movie online, then get together on Skype to break down the crazy. I'm your host, Matt Howell, and I'm joined today by Kyle.
Hi, everyone.
And Jacob.
Hello.
We're doing this special episode to review a film from a filmmaker whose first film we talked about on the show back in May of 2018, which was The God Inside My Ear. I believe I found that through Facebook. A guy just put a post up and said, anybody who likes to review weird movies or fucked up movies, reach out to me. And somebody said, at Matt Howell. And so I did. And he sent it to me and we watched it. And a couple friends and I talked about it and really dug it. It was a strange little film. And so when he announced he was starting on a second feature called Sister Tempest, and started a Kickstarter campaign, I supported that. And then when it was done, he reached out again and said, hey, you guys want to do this one? So I'm talking to you two to talk about Sister Tempest, which is still playing the festival circuit right now and has picked up quite a few awards. So it's still out there. So we're going to talk about the film in kind of a spoiler-free way for the majority of the show. And then we're going to give you a very long spoiler break. So if you're washing your dishes or doing something, and you got to put the cat down and come over and turn the iPod off, you have plenty of time. So then we will discuss the story in full and the ending and stuff like that. So we'll give you plenty of warning to get out spoiler free. Anything else I missed?
Sounds great.
How do you guys want to approach this film? Because it is an unusual film that does not fit the bill of this show. This show is about talking about films that are ego trip projects or hacks trying to make a quick buck in some kind of a genre film, or perfect storm of all of those things together, but films that are generally considered not good and they were intended to be good. So this is not really our feature type of film that we do on here. So these are unusual for us. So talking about a movie that we enjoy or that was successful in its attempts to create art is not the norm here. So I guess the best way to kind of ease into Sister Tempest would be to talk about your initial impressions, honestly.
I'll go first, I guess. My initial impression was that I really, really liked it. I thought it was a big swing creatively. I think it mixes a lot of different types of media. It's kind of an everything in the kitchen sink kind of, you throw every cool device you can into a film. And I thought it worked great. It was funny as the credits rolled at the end. Yeah, my first thought was just like, how the fuck are we going to talk about this? Because like you say, it's not a normal film that would be on That's Cool, That's Trash. Like I would venture to say it's the most experimental film that you've probably had on here.
Oh yeah.
And that made me kind of geek out on how you talk about experimental film in general, which I think is really difficult to describe in an audio format, something like that. It's like trying to describe, Eraserhead or Scorpio Rising or something like that, to where I feel that experimental cinema, kind of like experimental music, is an experiential thing. To really experience it, you kind of have to watch it. You have to experience it in the format that it is created in.
Back to college, egghead.
Yeah, it doesn't help us at all.
No, I was just going to say that, Mr. Black Francis wrote about experimental films in a little song called Debaser. That's kind of a famous Pixies song. Slicing up eyeballs, Jacob.
Yeah.
Slicing up eyeballs.
I'm not saying, and it's funny because I thought of when while watching this, actually. The two experimental films I thought of was The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. I thought was very similar to this, and also Obayashi's house, or Hausu, which I really thought was kind of akin to this a little bit, using all different types of devices, all different types of storytelling. So no, I think it can be done, obviously, to talk about experimental things. I just think it's different, and it's different for the show, and is a nuanced approach to doing what we normally do on the show.
Well, I knew that before I let Kyle answer here. I knew that you guys would be two of the best people to talk about this, because you have an appreciation for all types of film and a wide range of arts. And so that this is a difficult film to talk about, I think. And so it's really suited to the both of you. And I think that we know each other well enough to kind of lock into a conversation that makes sense, and hopefully will make sense to the viewers or the listeners about this discussion. So I'm sorry, Kyle, your impressions.
No, it's okay. So I watched this twice, and I'm really glad that I did, because the first time that I watched this, I was not ready for this. It really tried my patience in a lot of different ways. And you know what? I don't have a lot of experience with this type of like surrealist filmmaking. I love David Lynch. That was, for me, he was, the director that was able to blend that layer of surrealism into a narrative for me that got me really excited about those possibilities. And I'd seen some of like the French New Wave stuff, but this one for me it really took two viewings for me to really wrap my head around this. I think, Jacob, you said that really nicely. Like, this was a huge creative swing, and the second time that I watched this, I was just so impressed with his ability to pull this off. Like, I don't know how one would actually tackle a production like this to this level of detail without being like a little bit of a savant or absolutely insane himself. Like, it was so over the top in a good way, and so expressive. And, I have to admit, there was a couple of times while I was watching this that I thought, like, this could be like 45 minutes. But then I realized, like, but that's not what he's trying to do here. That's not the story that he's trying to tell. And he needed all of those different styles, all of those different mediums kind of coming together to be able to pull this thing off. So there was a part of me that's like, is he trying to like showcase his skills and have like a piece that's just everything that he can bring to this? I don't think so. I just think there's a lot more to it. And I'm really glad I had that second viewing to start to wrap my head around it.
I found myself, Kyle watched it twice as well. This was originally going to be released in July, this episode, but we had some scheduling stuff, and then there was these wildfires, and then life got complicated. So this is our first time getting around to it here in November. But so I watched it in July, and I let it steep for a few months, and then I watched it again today and took a bunch of notes. And I was really glad that I watched it twice as well. And I was blown away by the amount of influences, the phrase kitchen sink came up in my mind, my internal monologue, so many times today in a positive way. But I was just staggered by the amount of planning and all of the work that they had to do to create this film that had all these different feels and references and strange nuances and quirks on a very limited budget. It was amazing. It's not for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, if you're the average listener of this show and you're here because you think Neil Breen's hilarious, this might not be your movie. This film has, I think we've mentioned Buñuel, David Lynch already. I think Alejandro Jodorowsky, his films like Holy Mountain, Santa Sangre. I mean, I thought of Jodorowsky a lot during this stuff. It's also got some touches of almost reminding me of Hal Hartley and the way that sometimes that he directs his actors to where there's, I don't want to say they're stiff, but in some scenes there is a stagey theatrical quality that seems intentional to me that reminded me of Hal Hartley a bit, and Wes Anderson. Totally Wes Anderson, like in the, sometimes there's these chapter breaks in the film and there's these tableaus where actors are arranged in like a painting, like a living painting. And maybe someone will come through and interact with them and do something, and then the title of the chapter comes up. That seemed like Wes Anderson as well, like his fussy little diorama things that he does. Yeah, kitchen sink, man. Scorsese by way of Tarantino with like the on-screen text, playing with all these kind of graphics on screen. And like Jacob, you said that like Hausu. Kyle, I don't know if you've ever seen that Japanese film House. It's wild. It is hard to describe, but it was. I believe the story behind that film is that people in Japan and production companies saw how big of a hit Jaws was and said, we need to make a blockbuster film too. And so they made Hausu, and it is a kind of crazy ghost story that is surreal, and it's multimedia. Like Jacob was saying, like the characters will be walking in front of like a painted background. There'll be like paper cutouts of like things in the background, like animated, like happening, interacting with live characters. I mean, it's insane, and definitely came up in here for me.
Yeah, I think that's the closest film I could compare this to, honestly, when I was thinking about it. I think a lot of that has to do with the multimedia aspect of this. Like in Sister Tempest, there's so much, I mean, I guess you could say some stock footage, some footage of old films or old commercials, just like that, are just woven into this film in a really seamless way. I mean, in a really great way. We'll be talking about this the whole episode, but the editing is the star of this film.
Yes,
like
definitely.
it's fucking masterful. Like you're just like, oh my God, so much work and so much time.
Although I was very much appreciating the second time around the Foley work and the sound design. Superb. And I believe the director and the screenwriter, co-screenwriter, did the music as well. So I should mention that. The director is Joe Baden. I hope I'm saying his name right. I have forgotten. And he directed this, and he co-wrote it with John Kruppa, Kruppa, but I'm not seeing that on IMDb for some reason. Speaking of writing this, I was tripping out while watching this, trying to imagine these two guys writing this, because this felt to me like if Hunter S. Thompson during Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas like dictated a screenplay. Like, and then, and then this happens. And then I just felt like it was manic. Some of it seems frenetic, but not all of it. I mean, it doesn't feel like a speed freak babbling at you by any means, but it feels like riffing composed later after the fact, like made sense of, but it feels very jazz to me. And there's jazz in the soundtrack that comes up that it felt like there's a lot of riffing going on. I feel like those guys were bouncing stuff off of each other or something and making this happen. I don't know.
No, I definitely agree with that, but it was done so well. Like you never thought that they were just pulling stuff out of their ass just to be weird. Like it all had a purpose, and it all was part of this, narrative. Yeah.
So who wants to take a stab at the elevator pitch for this story? Because I'm not doing it. I got my finger on my nose.
Okay, I'll try this. This is a story about a young woman who is on trial. God damn it. This is a story about a young woman who is on trial by a group of otherworldly beings.
Tribunal.
A tribunal who is, she is obviously defending her choices and her life's journey. And they are actually comparing her version of the story with a version that's been documented by this all-seeing documentary crew. And they are trying to find truth between her perception and the document that has been created of her journey.
That works.
That's what I got.
No, that works. I would just throw in that it's not simply defending your life on ayahuasca, though, because she's answering for a crime, for something, for an action, right? And so they're asking, tell us the way you experienced this, and then we'll account for that along with the forgot what the documentarians are called. They're beings who Xiolins, but they're these characters that wear all white bodysuits. They have all white camera equipment. They have a boom mic, and they just sneak around and hover like the Watcher in comic books. And they don't get involved. They're not supposed to get involved. They just are there to observe and record. And I think everybody has them, is the impression I kind of got. We all have them recording our lives, but she's made aware of them, so then she can see them or something. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Well, I'll take it. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I think I found myself trying to figure out after the second watch, like where the title came from, because this is a film that starts off in the flashback when she's telling the story of her life, explaining that her parents died when she and her younger sister, who's like 7 years younger than she is, were young. So she kind of raised her little sister. The main character's name is Anne, by the way, and Karen is the little sister. And in the majority of this film, of her telling the story about what happened or her life, Karen is gone. She has disappeared. And so a lot of this is Anne telling the tribunal and us how this happened. And there's a lot of surreal things involved in it, and it's unreliable narrator all over the place. What else can you say about it? The style is not that the story's lacking, but I felt like I was hanging on to the story by the edge of my fingernails, like, on a speeding car, on the hood of a car, and careening through style world and just staying with the story as best I could.
That's a great way of describing it, but it made a really fun watch and a really unique watch. We don't get to experience that every time we watch a film. So I loved it. And yeah, so in opening with the Galactic Tribunal, you see immediately, kind of costumed alien type judge and some other alien beings. And yeah, this is a lower budget film, but I felt that the costumes really, really worked, even in a low budget way. Kind of like how, not quite Doctor Who, 60s Doctor Who costumes, more like the costumes from that Mr. Show sketch, the Racist in the Year 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Byron G. LeBrockwith the Seventh.
Yes.
Looked a lot like that bad guy in that Mr. Show episode. That's it.
Yeah, the head of the tribunal, Shoshem, or Show, whatever his name was. Yeah, looked a lot like the lobster. No, what was his name? That's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, I can't.
Totally blanking on it.
But I thought it was really cool. I love seeing someone working with a limited budget, but pulling it off in a way that you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally invested. I'm totally in. And I love that. I thought that was one of the many great feats that were accomplished in making this.
Yeah. I think I just read it was like $25K, like
yeah.
25,000. Like he made this for $25,000.
That is crazy.
Like I couldn't really wrap my mind around like the level of detail. Like the production on this is so unbelievably tight. Photos, like there's family photos from the girls when they're younger, like up on the wall. Like there is no details spared in this. Like he just went over the top with it and built this world that just felt so real, even though it was so completely absurd in some ways. I was blown away. The camera work too.
Yeah.
The camera work was incredible. It's like everybody that he was working with is really fucking good at that thing that they do, and they all came together to make this thing work.
Yeah, definitely a passion project, I would think, considering the budget they worked with and what they got out of it. They're either savants or very impassioned or both, I guess. But yeah, and I just, there's so many pastiches, right? In the beginning of the film, we see the younger sister with her boyfriend in a car kind of doing a makeout session. And this scene completely stands alone, like stylistically. Like it's got this kind of Argento lighting where there's like a purple light in the back of the car and a blue light on the dashboard that are all out of view. So they're just in this Suspiria kind of light. And there's, the boyfriend's like he's a bad boy kind of drug dealer. So there's like this metal in the soundtrack, and that exists in that scene. And there's a moment of hyper violence that is cartoonish and bizarre and surreal. And then we're done with that feel. That look and feel's done. And we go into another thing, and it's never revisited again, except in the same mode. as it comes up again. But everything feels different like that. I thought all of those things worked, except for me, there was one scene that never, the first or second time I saw it, it didn't click with me, was when there's a character who is running and there's some murder going on, and there's cartoon like stock library music playing in the background, and some old like public domain like clips of old animation stuff, and it just didn't land for me either time. I don't know why, but it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I could not figure out what was up with that, like why it didn't work when everything else, all these other leaps and strange mixtures of styles coming together worked for me, but that one just didn't. It felt too forced, I guess.
Matt, I totally agree. I had the exact same experience. Like that was just the one thing that it pulled me out of the experience somehow, to where I was like, this doesn't quite work. But I mean, that's a minor complaint compared to, I mean, this movie is almost 2 hours long, and God, so much is in here. That's so much.
Without spoiling anything, I would say that on second viewing, I watched it in a different way because of knowing what the gravity of the scene was, or the reality of this scene was. It played a little bit differently to me, but still didn't land, even knowing all.
I had the same feelings with her animated car scene as well. For me personally, that one it felt like it took a weird turn, and it pulled me out in this way that I didn't like. Even
the second time through, knowing everything. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just something about that style that it was like, it felt that something about that animation just felt like it was really different than the rest of the styles that we'd seen, and it wasn't really like, to me, it wasn't moving the story forward. But that's just
so me. Style for style's sake.
Yeah, which is part of like, I mean, that cartoon scene as well, which was something that Tamara was feeling like, are we trying to showcase the skill that we have here versus moving the story forward? Those are two that kind of felt that way to me.
Yeah, and like conversely, right, I totally agree with you, because I did not have that feeling in the karaoke scene when Ginger Breadman.
Great names, by the way. I really like the names of this.
Linnea Gregg, she was the star of his first film, and I think she's amazing. She was great in this. She was a very strange role, but when they go to the karaoke scene and she sings this song that I thought was a great performance and everything, but that goes into a little animated thing, but it makes sense when you're looking at it from Anne's point of view of looking at this person and this kind of emotional response that's going on, a connection. It would totally fit. Whereas that other one, like you mentioned, Kyle, maybe doesn't fit so much. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. The cinematography in general, in the scenes, all the stuff, but I mean, again, the stuff that was more dry or more cut and dried or not as stylized was just as gorgeous as the stylized crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like beautiful depth of focus, the color grading was, I mean, it was just great fucking visuals across the whole goddamn board.
The miniatures, like everything is in this thing. Everything is in this.
Yeah, I really love that recurring I mean, there's such cool ideas that get dropped in here. I don't know where these guys got them from, but there's this concept of a kind of astronaut suited figure that stomps like Godzilla through this model world. And throughout the story, when something really bad is about to happen, there's like these tremors that means this thing's coming, and it's like trauma. It's this portent of ill wind blowing, and something bad is about to happen. And that all came from Anne making her sister sit and watch this shitty sci-fi movie that she had to watch when she was little. And she's like, it's terrible. You have to watch it. It's great. And then that becomes like a part of the language of this film. And I love stuff like that. There was another sequence with this like trailer park witch trial. I don't even know how to describe this thing, but it was very much like Eraserhead, where the main character gets her head chopped off, and then her deceased mother takes her head and is putting it on different mannequins and trying to find which body it goes on correctly. And the one it ends up on is Ginger Breadman's body with wearing the school uniform. And then she throws that into the ocean. You see it floating off. It's very, very Eraserhead to me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Lynch in here, to be honest.
For sure.
Particularly, we'll talk about that actually at the end. Sorry.
Yeah, it was really interesting. The first time I watched it, I had missed just a little bit of that section. Like I'd kind of tuned that out, and I didn't make the Ginger Breadman connection. There was something that happened like in just that moment where I missed that key piece of putting the head, which becomes like the two-headed girl, which becomes like the split of the whole thing. Like I missed this key piece.
I did too.
And watching it the second time around, I was like, oh my gosh, like that was in front of me the whole time. I cannot believe I missed that.
Yeah, I think I missed that as well the first time. Don't feel bad. Okay.
I also really like the body, the mannequin gets thrown into the ocean, and then it cuts to Anne like getting sick in the toilet.
Oh yeah.
And then like when Anne gets up, like he did this a few times, this like really beautiful like surreal production technique where it's like he filmed it twice, like had the actress do it 6 or 7 different times, and then found 2 that were very close to each other but framed up differently, and then superimposed them on top of each other, and it created like this magical effect where like one would kind of pull in front of the other, and it was like this just beautiful distorted strong visual for like exactly how she was feeling right there. I was blown away by it.
Yeah, there was several instances of that I thought were really neat. There's one where the main character and her kind of new boyfriend type character are drawn to some scene, and it's intercut between 2 realities of it. So one is they go up to a church and there's people singing this hymn, and it's this beautiful moving moment under a glowing crucifix. And the other version of it is there's people having this like pagan, wild bacchanalian dance, and they run up there and strip their clothes off and start dancing together, and it keeps cutting between the 2 of them, and it's like these opposite polar opposites of each other. It was very cool. Yeah, it's just like a list of stuff like that where it's just like this was so neat. I love it. How the hell did you think of this? What's wrong with you? Don't get better.
Well, I guess we can kind of talk about the structure a little bit. I mean, it does have a structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken up, like Matt said earlier. It's broken up into chapters. There's 8 chapters. Yeah, I guess we can. We kind of talked a little bit already about chapter 1, the replacement. Chapter 2 is called the Executioner and the Egg, and it kind of shows us a little bit more about Anne's life, how she is an art teacher at this kind of, art academy type school. And yeah, she kind of is starting to have visions of this woman with this egg and all these other things. And that's when she meets her new student, Ginger Rogers Breadman, which I thought was so great. It's so awesome. And I like how she described herself. She's like, I come from Idaho, from potato people. That was one of my favorite lines in the whole thing. Yeah, it's a great
conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jacob, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was saying it's a great introduction to her character, which like you said, Matt, I mean, she's basically the co-star of the film, along with Callie Russell playing Anne Hutchinson.
Right.
What is it, Miss Hutchinson?
I think I deserve an explanation.
Excuse me?
Well, who is Ginger? Where's she from? Why is she here?
Well, my name is Ginger Rogers Breadman. I'm from Idaho.
Idaho?
Yes. My parents are potato people.
Potato people?
Potato farmers. They farm potatoes. There is a beauty and simplicity to it all. Standing in the middle of a potato field. So majestic, so beautiful, so salty. The smell, earthy and hairy.
The dialogue between them in that scene when they first meet, when she sits down, she's like, I deserve an explanation, was fantastic. And Matt, I hadn't actually made that Hartley connection, but there was a lot of like that stiffness and like the awkward dialogue. Like there's even times where they're having like a really important conversation and they're stopping in the middle of it to like debate how to say vase or vase.
Yeah.
Like just this weird, or like they would trip up on their metaphors and then spend time like reversing out of it. And
yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, potato people. By potato people.
She just said it with such a straight face. It really landed the line really well.
Yeah. Potato people. Yeah. Potato people.
I thought that, again, I'm not going to mention everything right now, but there was also, I felt like a nod to Lost Highway with the creepy VHS tape.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And I felt like even, I might be a reach, but there's the little girl that's like the Marie Antoinette Queen of the Universe type of character, like her head's superimposed, disembodied and superimposed in space. Felt very much like the beginning of Dune, like for me. I don't know.
It did.
Like Virginia Madsen.
Yeah, Princess Irulan is going to tell you what's going on. No, I called her the Star Child in my notes for some reason.
Yeah, makes sense. So Jacob, right at that kind of that third chapter, that's the girl with two heads. And is that the same chapter as Egg? Like is Egg when they meet, or is it the girl with two heads?
The Executioner and the Egg is when they meet. The girl with the two heads is the VHS tape shows up. Anne Praisn is visited by that glowing Jesus type man. And yeah, but Matt, you're right. There definitely was some Lost Highway vibes, especially with that VHS tape.
Yeah, I believe he's a fan.
Yeah.
Is this the scene where like they start to introduce like the disease underlying thread that just builds in this?
I feel like that's like chapter 6 or something. Which for me, in addition to the cartoon thing we talked about not really landing, I felt like at both times I watched this, at that mark, which is about 80 minutes into the film, it is a very long film, especially for an experimental film. But I thought I had an issue with it. But I feel like both times at that point, the story kind of takes a detour off, and it felt very, I don't want to say unnecessary, but kind of indulgent and kind of eating its own tail, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like it just kind of kept spiraling and getting stranger and stranger. And again, all of these things kind of make more sense when you know what's going on and the second time around, but they still kind of bothered me. So I think we can go up past this point a little bit without talking about too much, but the concept of a vampiric type of hunger or need is introduced in one of the characters, and without having fresh meat or blood, she becomes this hideous boil covered person. And so she feeds and is pretty again for a brief period of time, and then the boils return, which I'm sure it's like a dream, right? Like when you dream seems so strange and surreal, and then you describe it to a friend and you're like, oh, I'm just nervous about going to this job interview tomorrow. Never mind. Totally makes sense when I say it out loud, right? I mean, like,
yeah. But it's cool when you actually see a film, because lots of people will review films and be like, oh, that was so dreamlike. Like, this is actually dreamlike.
Yes.
Like, a lot of these things could literally be dreams. There's a dream logic to a lot of it. There's just a lot of strange stuff that's there for no reason, but also for every reason, just like how it is in a dream, which I think is harder to pull off than it seems. Like, you can't just throw a bunch of fucked up shit into a scene and be like, oh, it's a dream, But no, all these surreal tableaus and scenes seemed very well thought out and very well constructed, which is why they worked.
I feel like capturing the feeling of a dream is much harder than filmmakers think it is, because they usually do not feel or look like dreams at all. I know that we all experience dreams in our own ways, but when we talk about them and what connects them, there's a truth in it. And like, you can say like, this felt like a dream, like as far as the logic and the way things are framed and the way tones shift, right? Where you can you can't explain it except in dream terms, where it's like I was at Disneyland, but it was my junior high gym.
Yeah.
And I was having a great time with my cousin, and then everything got really scary for no fucking reason. Like I essentially had a panic attack inside the dream. I don't know why everything shifted and went into German expressionism angles and got completely freaky, but it did. Like, that's dreams. And this guy actually can do that and make it work. It's wild. What else do we talk about before we do the spoiler warning? We have a gimmick even this episode.
Yeah, kind of like what you were saying with that chapter 6, The Life is in the Blood. It was a little jarring. Like you say, it kind of took me out, but I loved it just for Ginger's kind of music video of the song that she sings about the boils that are all over her. I thought that was the price of admission for me for that chapter. That
justified the whole chapter.
That absolutely justified that chapter. That made me laugh. And I was horrified and laughing at the same time. It was great. And again, $25K, but my God, the makeup looked really good. Those boils looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed this time that Ginger, the actress, has sanpaku. Do you know that Japanese concept of sanpaku? Where I think it translates to like 3 whites of the eyes or something. Where Peggy Lipton had this as well, where you can see the whites under the irises of her eyes, and they thought that was a portent, and that was it's like this superstition. And it also happens where you can see the whites of their eyes above their irises, which is so I believe seeing the whites of your eyes under your irises is a warning that the world is like going to punish you, or something negative is going to happen to you in your life. Marilyn Monroe had it. JFK had it. Like, there's this huge list of people that had sanpaku of the lower eyes. But if you have it above, it's supposed to mean that your inner turmoil or curse is going to come from within. And one of the main pictures you see when you talk about the upper sanpaku is Charlie Manson. You can see the whites of his eyes above his irises.
Wow.
In a lot of photos.
So which one is Peggy Lipton, most importantly?
The lower.
Okay.
Like this actress.
Okay.
Yeah. I always thought that was so strange.
That is strange.
That is strange.
That it's a superstition in Japan, and culturally.
It's sanpaku.
It's Sanpaku. Sanpaku, I believe. I stumbled on it when I was listening to a Peggy Lipton her record a long time ago, and somebody made this comment on YouTube about her sanpaku, like on her album cover, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I went down a whole rabbit hole. But reminded me of it because I hadn't seen it on somebody in a while. I'm sure everything's fine if you're listening, Linnea. Didn't mean to be creepy there.
So I would love to get both of your takes on like the shepherd, or like the spirit guide, like the guy who comes in at like 3 or 4 different times in the film, and the first time we see him is at the very beginning, where he's like kind of guiding her into the tunnel. I would love to hear your thoughts on this role in the film.
I loved him. He's one of the first characters we see, and you can tell that they did a million passes of this guy doing variations on this entreaty to come and follow him and go through, to this place. And they're all kind of edited together in like quick dissolves and jarring cuts. And it's just this mega cut of this guy doing this thing. And he shows up late, like you said, several times in the film. He seemed to me almost to be like Charon, the boatman that takes you from the afterlife across the river Styx into Hades or something. Like, he had some kind of role like that, or like, like Mercury or something like that, like the god who's like the messenger or something like that, of between the other divines and the humans. Does that make any sense?
That's highbrow and accurate.
Psychopomp, I believe is the name for that, actually.
I love the scene when he's in the shop, and he's just explaining how the violins.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Just walking through the shop, like, "Hey Gary, There's something about him that I love that. Taking them from like the art show behind the scenes into this factory, explaining like how these video crews are made and attached to you, and they're part of your life crew, man. I don't know. I liked him. I liked him a lot.
That factory scene was my favorite instance of that character as well. I thought it was just so cool.
Yeah, he was hilarious. I want to have a beer with that guy.
Huge cast. Like there's just an incredible amount of people in this thing. And, one of my favorite characters is actually Jeffrey, the janitor.
I liked him too.
Yeah, he was great.
I just really like him. His golly G energy. And we'll talk about him a little bit later too, because I can't talk about him without the scene at the bar with his car, but then, all that good stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think we're getting there. Don't you?
Yeah, I do, because we've talked up to chapter 6, the life is in the blood, and chapter 7, a confrontation with the truth, is probably what we need to talk about next. So now might be the time.
Okay, folks. So we're at the point now where we're going to do the spoiler break, because we want to talk about the whole thing, and it would ruin the experience for you if you have any intention of watching this. We're going to do the final judgment of this at the end, but I think you probably can tell from our conversation where this is going to go. Unfortunately, I don't believe that you can rent or buy this digitally or anything currently, because it's still out in the festival circuit. But you can see his first film, The God Inside My Ear. And if this film sounds like anything like something you'd be interested in, you will like his first movie. And you can stream that online. I believe it's even free streaming on a couple of services with ads. So go out there, check it out. It's directed by Joe Badon. I said his name wrong at the beginning. Sorry, Joe. So yeah, keep your I would follow him on social media and find out when you can watch this, or if it's coming to a festival, a virtual festival, obviously anymore, near you, so you can see Sister Tempest, and then come back and listen to the last 15, 20 minutes of this episode. So there's no spoilers. Here comes that spoiler break.
As producer of this film, I would like to make the following statement. This motion picture is a vicious expose of a part of the young generation, that sick generation who must ravage and plunder for their kicks. Scenes of such brutal honesty will be shown on this screen that we strongly recommend that impressionable young people, or those people of any age, who are upset or affected by scalpel slashing, arm twisting, axe hacking motorcycle maniacs, now close their eyes for the remainder of this coming attraction, and further recommend these people do not attend any showing of this film. Thank you.
I'm charging too much to get into my house.
Okay, well, we're back from that spoiler break, so we're going to be talking about the ending of the film and our final thoughts. So, Jacob?
Well, I think right at the top of chapter 7, a confrontation with the truth, like I was saying earlier, there's a scene at the bar with Jeffrey, who's Anne's boyfriend, and Ginger tracks him down at the bar and is outside of the bar, smashing up his car, spray painting "Stay Away" on his windshield. And so Jeffrey goes back to Anne, gives her an ultimatum. Anne still sides with Ginger and heads back to her house for this big kind of confrontation with Ginger. And I thought at that point the device that I really liked, it's almost like they became like wrestlers. But it was very much like Glow, like the original 80s version of that. That's which I thought was so awesome. They shoot lasers at each other. It was super great. And then we have the big reveal. Kyle?
Yeah. So I have to admit, I watched the ending of this. I've been waking up at like 4 in the morning for like the last 3 days. And so this morning I woke up and watched the end of this again. So it's a little murky for me right now. So you guys keep me honest. So we're basically learning that Anne has a split personality, and that we discover that Ginger and Anne are the same person. once we get this clue, it's like the movie sort of unravels itself in front of us, and we start to see all of Ginger's actions, but with Anne replaced in them through this big hypercut. So as Jacob had mentioned, like when we see Ginger like beating up Jeffrey's car. Wait a minute, did I mess this up? Did through the fight did we get the shot? Did the shot go off in the fight that unraveled this?
The shot? Oh, from Jeffrey's gun?
Yeah. Was that the trigger that unraveled all of this?
Oh, like sensory recall from the sound? I'm not remembering. So Kyle's basically describing essentially like when same type of thing like in Fight Club when it's revealed that Tyler Durden is the narrator and you see all these significant moments throughout the film, but Ed Norton is doing them and not Brad Pitt. That's what we see at the end. That's what you're talking about, right, Kyle?
Yeah. Like
that her employer at the art school or whatever, the college, says you've had an empty desk and been talking to someone that's not there named Ginger. And then you see that she's been eating raw meat in the middle of the night, not Ginger. She beat the shit out of Jeffrey's car and spray painted "Stay Away" on it. So she definitely has she has a disassociative identity thing going on where she's split, and trauma caused the split, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did love the device, and this is where that device that basically this like alien documentary crew has been following her around this whole time. So it's not just, recall of recalling her in this thing. It's basically just the tribunal being like, roll tape and we'll show you what actually happened. Because they've documented this entire thing. And so like you were saying in the beginning, Matt, it's an unreliable narrator thing. It's her story. Then at the end, they basically are like, oh, okay, well, let me show you what actually happened. Watch this film.
Right. And the thing I was avoiding saying as far as a Lynchian comparison was this largely felt like Mulholland Drive, because Mulholland Drive is about a character who has a ex-lover killed, and the majority of the film is a guilt fever dream about how things could have been or should have been had she gone to Hollywood and been treated like a star, like she was supposed to be, risen to fame. All this stuff happens, and then she wakes up in the last act of the film and you realize what really happened, and it's this huge starting shift. Should I have said I'm going to spoil Mulholland Drive? It's almost 20 years old. I don't have to. I don't have to warn that, right? Okay. But again, it's that thing where it's a wish fulfillment. In Mulholland Drive, she wishes that she hadn't had that character killed because she left her for the Justin Theroux character. And so she's idealizing her life and reality.
No, and you're right to bring up Lynch comparisons. I think the main difference, it's not like Lynch doesn't have his fun moments, but I would not call this a dark and depressing film.
No.
There's an element of play and fun in every part of this, even the parts that are a little bit disturbing. I would not call this a dark film.
No, and I was hoping that was coming across, and even though we're mentioning Lynch a lot, that the bright, frenetic kind of qualities and the kitchen sink, kind of thing going on made this is not Blue Velvet. Like this is, Eraserhead is a horror film by most people's measure. It makes you uneasy and it feels like a nightmare, and it's a 90-minute nightmare. This is not a nightmare, but it has elements. It takes some elements from Lynch, but it does not take the mood at all. Yeah. It is I don't even know how to describe what genre I put this in, even outside of art film or experimental film. It's got some very funny things in it. It's got some disturbing things in it, but not many. The tone is more light and zany, but zany is not the right word. I don't even know how to cartoonish, surreal. Surreal is only the real word, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the Venn diagram with Lynch comes in. But again, like you're saying, tone between the two of them couldn't be more opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually curious about your guys' take on this, because so Jeffrey gives Anne the gun, to protect her from Ginger. And then the fight escalates, and then Ginger goes into the room that she's not supposed to go into, and Anne shoots her in that room. And there's something about that shot that's the trigger. But then, at the beginning of the film, Anne's sister was killed by a drug dealer. Anne's sister's boyfriend was killed by a drug dealer, and we learn through that flashback scenario that it's Anne who pulls the trigger. And I wanted to ask you guys. We also see in that cartoony scene, we see during the cartoon scene, Ginger is using rubber bands to shoot those guys, and then in the Anne scene, she's using the gun. And I was wondering if that is the same gun that Jeffrey gave her, so it was like this loop, right? Like Jeffrey gave her the gun, and then it was the same gun that she used to kill her sister, and then kill the other folks. But it was just part of this surrealist loop.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but I like that.
But I did want to come back to the cartoony scene because, we were saying earlier that was something that didn't land for us. And I just didn't want, people to think that we didn't understand. I mean, I believe that Anne is getting more and more spun out and psychotic. And so her cover story, her reality that she's building for herself is getting more insane. And so it is cartoony and strange, but I still had that response to it, I guess is my point. Mm-hmm. So when you cut and you realize it's her just running after killing kids with a gun and munching on a cheerleader, it's fucking disturbing. And the way that she processed it and remembered it to make it okay is disturbing, but it still was a bone of contention I have with the film as a whole. Don't know why. I really liked the mailbox, the white mailbox. That's like a way to talk to God in this, and the baptism and was really cool. Yeah. I loved, especially the first time I saw it, but the opening scene, Karen's boyfriend Chris gives her an eyeball, a human eyeball plucked out by the roots from a skull, and says, "You're going to need this. Just hold on to it." And she's disgusted. And then that comes full circle in this, and in a very, very meaningful and cool way. Yeah, beautiful ending to this film. I found it even more moving the second time around. Watching it and knowing what was going on the entire time, I felt it was stronger. And I think sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think there's a theme, but I really think it comes back around at the end because, Anne just wants forgiveness. She just keeps kind of in different ways asking for forgiveness, and is given it in the end with a price, I guess, is what is laid out for us.
Well, yeah. If thine eye offend thee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much detail do you want to talk about the ending? I mean, we should.
I don't know. I mean, we could do Final Judgment if you guys are. I'm happy with whatever.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with the Final Judgment at this point.
Yeah.
Sure.
So again, I don't think anyone's gonna be shocked, but Jacob, what's your judgment here? Is this cool or is this trash?
Oh, this is absolutely cool. I was, like we've been saying this whole time, I was blown away by it. I really was. I really wish I could have seen it in a theater. I'm jealous of all of those people that got to actually experience this in a theater, because it's, there's just not a whole lot of films that are being made like this. And when people attempt to make a film like this, most of the time they fail. And so to see someone pull off modern surrealist cinema it's exciting and was a joy to watch. So this is one of my favorite things in all the episodes that we have done together for the show. This was definitely one of my favorite films.
Okay, so you're on the fence. Kyle, do you have an opinion?
I thought this movie was cool. I mean, I think that Jacob really summed it up beautifully. I cannot believe that he pulled this off and pulled it off for $25,000. I'm blown away. The depth, the layers, the themes. Like I didn't love everything about this. Like I said earlier, like I think that it could have been shorter. I think there might have been too many themes, but this was the story he wanted to tell. And even with all of those layers, like he pulled it off and made it all work. And like, who can argue with that? Like it's fucking brilliant. So cool for me.
Yeah, it's a 3 for here. This is definitely cool for me. I think I'm a little more on Kyle's side here, where I felt it could have been a little bit shorter. It felt to me kind of like someone said, if you can only make one movie in your entire life, what would you do if you wanted, get to put all of your ideas into there? It kind of felt to me like a bit like that, where it was kind of like, you get to make one record, kid. What are you going to do? Well, it's a quadruple record. It's a concept album. It's about, like, because it's my one chance. There's some of it's a little bit like that to me, but 95% of it not only sticks, but I mean, just sings. So I loved it. I think it's a great film. Again, not for everybody, but if you enjoy visual arts and hearing things, you should probably check this movie out. Yeah. So Sister Tempest 2020 playing at a multiplex near you. And I agree with you, Jacob. I think that thank God for crowdfunding, because stuff like this probably wouldn't exist. But, I feel like cinema is definitely devolving in a sense of, at least things that kind of get any kind of distribution are something that's easily identified as genre, or it's a major tentpole, major studio franchise installment. And that seems to be all that the big players are interested in anymore. And I feel like not that like El Topo was, people were fighting to get rights to distribute El Topo, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not naive enough to think that this stuff plays in some halcyon age when we were little, like everyone wanted to get down to the corner theater and see something like this. But I mean, at the same time, I just feel like it's getting harder and harder to get people's eyes on this stuff, because there's so many things out there, and the things that get all the money behind them are soulless franchise things and sequels and remakes.
Yeah.
Again, so cool that it's getting made, but yeah, it's just a little frustrating that there is so much content out there, and that stuff like this kind of might slide by the wayside.
Well, I think that in any other year, if this would have been released, the three of us would be at the Hollywood Theater watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's the ideal. I would love to see this film with an audience. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, but I would see virtually anything with an audience at this point. I heard there's a new 21 Jump Street movie, 2022 Jump Street. I'd watch that.
Gosh, I wish we would have talked about the music a little bit more, because I'm just realizing that it's one thing that it is so interesting to see a movie at this level that was scored to the level of detail that this was. And across all those different genres too. Like, it just tight. And using the music like another character to drive those scenes, like the tension in some of that, like avant-garde jazz. I remember one scene in particular, like the rolling of a snare, like as she's packing, like grabbing her suitcase. I forgot her name. The sister is leaving. Like, there's something about
Karen.
The way that Karen, the tension with that snare drum, and like it just kept going and going, and then it explodes. Just incredible.
Yeah, I just made a note that the music and sound effects, which were constant, there was one moment of silence in this film, and it was deafening. And it was at the end when there's a big reveal, once you realize what's going on or something. It's in the final act, and the one moment of silence is deafening in this, because there was a constant music bed and sound effect bed that evolved seamlessly throughout the film, with each scene's changing. And so it became textural, and it was like a character in the film that was almost commenting on it the same way that the Zyolins were recording it. Like it became a part of it. Very much so. Yeah. So we did talk about the music. Just
Good.
now.
Done.
You just had to stay till the end. I like the original tunes as well, particularly the song that Ginger sang at karaoke. I thought that was a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about the boils is fun too.
That was my favorite.
It was good. You're right. It just wasn't toe tapping like the other one was. Well, guys, thank you very much for going on a cinematic journey through craziness with me.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I loved it.
Cool. Well, we don't have any plans for any other episodes right now. This was the last thing on the docket, so I'm kind of mothballing the show for the time being. And Jacob and I have started another show, which is even more obscure focused than this one is, which is saying something, where it's called the Werewolf by Night podcast. And it's where Jacob and I every week go through an issue of a 1970s Marvel horror comic called Werewolf by Night and talk about the artists and the stories and just kind of react and have our own little kind of self-contained episode there. We have guests from time to time, but mostly it's just me and Jacob talking about some good old 70s Bronze Age comics. You might like that. It's fun. I'm having a good time doing it with you.
Is this something I'm not familiar with the original comic, and I was wondering, can I just jump in on this podcast?
Like without having read the comic?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, we're making a point of doing it the same way that we've done on this show, where it's like, ideally you would have watched the movie, but we make a point of like guiding you through the plot enough and describing some of the art a little bit here and there. And if it's something that we paused on and kind of geeked out over, we'll include that in the post of the episode on Instagram so you can see the actual art. I mean, ultimately the idea would be that you could follow along and enjoy it without reading the comic. I think some people have told us they're listening to the show without reading the book at all. So it is digestible that way.
Cool.
But, that's cool. But I love it even more that people have reached out and said, I'm reading this digitally, or I scraped up one of the collections and I'm just kind of, following along, and it's a little kind of just moment to geek out and listen to people be geeks. Yeah, it's been cool. It was definitely something that was conceived as COVID therapy for me midsummer, and throughout there basically as a kind of joke post, like if anyone wants to do a show talking about this 70s werewolf comic I love. And Jacob texted me like a month or two later and was like, so when are we doing that? And we did it. And it was crazy. We got a lot of feedback. We got some really good reviews. We were ranked in the Apple's visual arts podcast thing within the first 3 episodes. Indie director Kyle that you know of, Brad Michael Elmore, who did Wolfman's Hammer and Bit, reached out to us and said, when am I going to be on the show? And it was on the show, and he wants to be a regular contributor. And then Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas said, hey, man, we're writing a new Werewolf by Night comic. Would you like to talk to us about it? And I said, yes, please. Let's have you on the show. So it happened really fast, and it's been crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah, you're right. It did start out as a therapy for the two of us, but in its own small way, it's taken off and has been really fun. It's been a lifeline for me. I look forward to recording them every week. Yeah, me too. It was definitely intended to be you and me having fun with each other. If somebody wants to tune in because they're a freak, God bless you. But it definitely took off and got its own life, which is funny. But yes, if you want to check that out, it's Werewolf by Night podcast.
Oh man.
The other thing I've been working on is I've been trying to experiment for this show, bringing back this not as a podcast, but as a maybe quarterly feature, where the idea is it's like a game show, and I would have you guys on, maybe one of the guests, and you wouldn't know what movie we're doing. We would use one of those apps where we can all stream the movie together. So you're watching it, being honest, watching it with me the first time. And we would actually do that live on YouTube or wherever through with public domain films. So you're seeing it, and then that would be its own episode of just kind of us watching it, and you can watch the movie with us on frame in the little boxes. And then there'd be an episode vodcast thing that is a game show where I have a bunch of questions and challenges and opportunities where you can, do all these different things where it's categories that come up like Jeopardy. And it's about the film, and obviously you couldn't prepare anything because you didn't know what it was and you just watched it. So I've got a couple of these lined up, and I've written a bunch of stuff for them. So if the werewolf podcast had not blown up like it did, I would have already done the first one. So now that it's kind of settling in, and Jacob's helping me kind of do the social media part of the werewolf thing, I think I can focus a little more attention on this That's Cool, That's Trash game show. So
that's a great idea.
Should be coming soon. Yeah, I think it will be good. So I'll be doing a pilot soon, and if it works, then I'd like to do some more. But just trying to get the pilot out of the way here.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, this pandemic has been great for you guys.
Yeah, really flourished.
Great.
Yeah. Haven't worn pants in months. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. I sincerely hope that you check out Joe Badon's Sister Tempest and The God Inside My Ear. He's a exciting filmmaker doing cool stuff, and he deserves to have more eyes on his work. You guys, thank you again for being on. For That's Cool, That's Trash, I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Kyle Schaefer.
I'm Jacob Balcom.
You folks out there, stay trashy.
That's trash.
It's garbage, folks.
What are you gonna do?
I have no choice. I'm gonna use my last couple of bucks and buy a bus ticket back to Idaho. Back to the farm. So many potatoes.